You ever sat alone in a room so quiet you could hear your own heartbeat and still felt like you were being crushed by silence? You ever felt that empty space in your chest, like something's missing, yeah, and you don't even know what the hell it is? Yeah, that's the moment right there. That's where the real war begins. See, everyone's out here chasing love, validation, attention, applause. Like it's oxygen, like they'll suffocate without it. But let me tell you something, most people are too scared to hurt if you can't sit alone in a room with your own thoughts and still feel like a full-blooming warrior. You're not strong, you're dependent. And dependence, that's weakness in disguise. You think happiness comes from someone completing you. That's a damn lie. People walk into your life, they can walk right back out. And when they do, and they will, what's left? Who are you then? I'll tell you who, you're exactly who you built in the dark. People want comfort. They want someone to hold their hand to tell them it's going to be okay. But life doesn't give a damn about your comfort. It gives you pain. It gives you rejection. It gives you solitude. And guess what? If you're not prepared, if you haven't trained your mind, your spirit, and your soul, you'll crumble like dust. You earn peace. You bleed for peace. You wake up every day and fight battles that no one else sees. You've grown so strong that your own presence feels like home. You've built a mind so disciplined that silence becomes your sanctuary, not your prison. People talk about being enough. You want to then stop looking out there. Look inward. Ask yourself, can I go a week without needing validation? Can I go a year chasing my goals without anyone clapping for me? Can I go a lifetime knowing that my power, my fire comes from me? You think being alone is hard. Try being surrounded by people who don't understand your worth. That's hell yeah. Learn to be alone. Suffer in it. Thrive in it. Because once you do, once you master the solitude, you become fubbing untouchable. Nobody can take your peace if you built it with your own two hands. Nobody can break your heart if your love starts inside. And no one can stop a person who doesn't need to be chased, praised, or saved. Be the person who walks alone and still walks proud. Be the one who doesn't flinch in the dark. Grow strong enough to be happy alone. Because when you're built that way, everything else in life is just a bonus. You ever wonder why some people fall apart when they're left alone? It's because they've never sat long enough in their own darkness to understand it. They've never had to face themselves. Raw, unfiltered, no distractions. That's where the real work begins. That's where the mirror gets brutal. When there's no one left to impress, no one left to blame, and no noise left to hide behind, that's when you meet the real you. And let me tell you, most people run from that moment like it's fire. But me, I walked straight into it. I made it my home. I sat in that silence, in that emptiness, and I dug until I found the parts of me that were weak, fake, broken. And I ripped them out one by one. You don't build strength and comfort. You build it in solitude. You build it in the hours where the world forgets you exist. When the only thing you hear is your heartbeat and your demons breathing down your neck, telling you're not enough. That's where you grow. Because when you stay in that moment, when you don't quit, you earn a different kind of strength. Not the kind that shows in the mirror, but the kind that shows when your world falls apart and you don't. You want to be dangerous. Get comfortable being alone. You want to be unbreakable. Learn to suffer without needing a witness. That's where I live. That's where killers are made. In silence. In stillness. Everything has to be in the trenches no one sees. That's where you earn the right to call yourself strong. Everybody wants to talk about strength like it's just muscle, grit, or some badge you wear. But let me hit you with the truth. And if your emotions are tied to other people, what they say, what they think, whether they stay or go, you're not exposed. You're soft. Emotional dependence is a leash around your neck, and you don't even know who's holding the other end. Could be a friend, could be a lover, could be a stranger scrolling your Instagram. You're just waiting for someone to tell you're enough. Screw that. I learned the hard way when people walk away. And trust me, they will. If you're depending on them to feel worthy, to feel alive, you're finished. You spiral, you collapse because your self-worth wasn't built. It was borrowed. And when the lender leaves, so does everything you thought you were. So I made a decision. I took back the damn leash. I cut every tie that made my confidence conditional. I stopped giving people that power. I told myself my peace. That's mine. My fire, mine, you don't get to dim it to validate it. You don't even get to understand it because I built it when no one was watching. And when you get there, when your soul doesn't flinch without backup, when your joy doesn't shrink without attention, you're a whole different animal. You become someone who doesn't need love to feel complete, but choose it because you're already whole. That's not ego. That's emotional armor. That's the kind of strength most people never touch. You think like followers, compliment, applause, straight. That's air. That's vapor. It disappears the second you stop performing. Let me tell you something really. If you need someone clapping for you just to get moving, you've already lost. You're chasing shadows, not goals. You're addicted to noise, that validation. That dopamine hit when someone says, good job. That's not power. That's a fleeing chain. And most people, they're dragging that chain through life with a smile on their face, thinking it's gold. I've been there. I used to chase approval. I used to want people to see me, to get me to clap when I showed up. And when they didn't, I felt invisible. weak, like I didn't matter. But then I asked myself, what happens when no one's watching? What happens when it's 4 a.m., you're dead tired, and nobody's going to give you a pat on the back for grinding? That's when it hit me. If my fuel comes from outside, I'm running on fumes. So I flipped the switch. I stopped running on validation and started running on purpose, on pain, on discipline, because that applause, that's seasonal, but purpose, that shut is permanent. And once you start building your life on internal fire, not external praise, no one can take it from you. Not the doubters, not the haters, not even the ones who once believed in you and walked away. You become unstoppable, not because they believe in you, but because you finally believe in yourself. People hear the word alone and they flinch like it's some kind of punishment, like it's a curse. But I'm telling you right now, solitude, that's where the beast gets built. While everyone else is out there running from silence, filling their time with noise, scrolling, texting, numbing themselves, I'm in the quiet, sharpening my edge, because that's the FUBIN training ground. That's the battlefield no one talks about. See, when you're alone, there's no one coming to save you, no one to lean on, no safety net. That's when your mind tries to break you. That's when it whispers all the things you don't want to hear. You're not enough. You're wasting. You should quit. And that's exactly where I want to be. Because when I'm alone, I hear those voices and I kill them. I confront them. I beat them into the ground with reps, with discipline, with truth. That's where I train. That's where I grow, not in front of a crowd, not with someone holding my hand, but alone in the grind day after day. You don't become unstoppable by hiding from solitude. You become unstoppable by embracing it. Make it yours. Turning that silence into fuel while the rest of the world gets weaker in stillness. I get sharper. I get louder inside. Because when you can dominate the quiet, you're ready for any storm. And when the world goes dark, you're already lit from within. That's not punishment. That's power. Everybody wants peace. Everybody talks about it like it's a magical state you just stumble into one day, like it's going to show up when your job's right, your relationship's perfect, and your bank account's full. That's a damn lie. Peace isn't given. Peace is earned. It's bought with pain. It's bought with suffering. You don't get to wake up and feel calm unless you've walked through hell and not quit. You want peace. Go earn it in the chows. Go earn it when your mind is screaming, when your body's broken, when your heart's shattered. And you still get up and put in the few, but in work. People think peace is soft. Nah, real peace is violent. It's forged in the fire. It comes when you faced every demon inside you and said, you don't own me anymore. You get that kind of peace when you've suffered so much that nothing outside of you can shake what's inside of you. I've sat in the darkest rooms, in the loneliest places, in the most painful parts of life, and I didn't run. I stayed. I worked, bled. I built something in that silence. So now, when life throws its worst at me, I don't flinch. I don't beg for relief. Because my peace didn't come from comfort. It came from war. And once you've built that kind of peace, the world can burn around you and you'll still be calm. You'll still be focused because you've already made it through worse. And you made it alone. You want confidence. Stop looking for it in compliments. Stop waiting for someone to tell you you're doing a good job. You don't get real confidence from other people patting you on the back. You get it from showing up every single day when no one gives a damn. When there's no spotlight. When there's no encouragement. When it's just you versus you. That's where self-reliance is born. That's where confidence gets carved out of failure, repetition, and pain. When I wake up in the morning, I don't need motivation. I don't need a cheerleader. I built a mind that doesn't negotiate with weakness. You think I feel good every day? Hell no. But I don't wait for the feeling. I trust the system I built through years of being alone, through years of grinding with nobody watching. And because I built that myself, I don't need anyone else to keep it alive. People want to borrow strength from other people. But borrowed strength fades. Borrowed belief cracks when it's just you and the weight, whether it's life or loss or a barbell. You better have your own back. Because if you've got to call someone just to keep your head up, what happens when they stop answering, you fall. But if you built yourself on discipline, on reps, on scars, you don't fall. You stand taller. You speak louder because your confidence isn't hype. It's earned armor. That's real. That's unshakable. That's what makes you dangerous. You want to know why most people never level up? Because they don't know how to sit still. They can't handle 5 minutes alone without grabbing their phone, turning on a screen, running from their own thoughts. That's not just distraction. That's weakness. That's avoidance dressed up as just taking a break. But I'll tell you this, the ones who win, they choose discipline over distraction. Every single time. When I sit in a room and it's quiet, my mind starts throwing all the old shop at me, failures, regrets, fears. I don't flinch. I listen. I face it. I don't scroll. I don't run. I stay in the fire because that fire is where the transformation happens. You think growth feels good? Hell no. Growth feels like suffocation. It feels like pressure. But most people would rather numb out than face what's actually holding them back. They'll say, I need a break, when what they really need is a breakthrough. And that only comes from discipline. Discipline means doing the work when no one's checking in you. It means staying focused when the world is begging you to drift. It means choosing silence when noise feels safer. I trained my mind like I trained my body. Reps, failure, more reps. I made stillness my battlefield, because if you can conquer the urge to run, to escape, to reach for easy, you own yourself. And if you don't own yourself, you'll always be a slave to the next distraction. You want to grow strong enough to be happy alone. Then stop hiding in the noise and start standing in the quiet like a savage. You want to talk about love? Let me break it down for yourself. Love isn't some soft, feel-good nonsense. It's the hardest battle you ever fight. Because loving yourself when you're broken, when you've hit rock bottom, when the whole world's telling you're not enough, that's where real warriors are made. If you can't look in the mirror at your worst and say, I'm still here, I'm still fighting, then no amount of outside love is ever going to fill that void. I've been there. I felt worthless. I felt like giving up. But I learned something brutal. If you don't love yourself at your lowest, you're setting yourself up for a lifetime of depending on other people's love to keep you afloat. And guess what? That love isn't always coming. People leave. People disappoint. But you're the one who's lived with yourself every second, every day. You better make sure you're someone worth living with. Self-love is discipline. It's respect. It's accountability. It's waking up and putting in the work even when you hate yourself. It's not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. When you build that kind of love for yourself, you stop begging for scraps from others. You stop needing their approval. You become a force of nature, unshakable, unbreakable, unstoppable, because the foundation of your life is solid. It starts inside. And once it does, nothing and no one can take it away. When you build yourself strong enough to be happy alone, something shifts deep inside. You become a fortress, a dam tank rolling through the chaos of life, unstoppable and unbreakable. Because here's the deal: when your strength comes from inside, when your peace and happiness don't depend on anyone else, no outside force can shake you. People can doubt you, betray you, walk away from you. You won't crumble, but you won't break. You won't bend. I've been tested over and over. I've been left out, thrown away, counted out. And every time the world expected me to fall apart, to beg for help, to break down and give in. But I wasn't built like that. I was built in the dark, in the silence, alone, my pain and my failures. I became so damn solid that when the storm hit, I didn't flinch. I stood taller because I didn't need anyone to hold me up. I was my own anchor. That kind of strength, it's the ultimate freedom. It means you're not a puppet on anyone's strings. It means your happiness is yours alone, pure, untouchable, and permanent. When you grow strong enough to be happy alone, you become a force that no one can control, no one can break, and no one can stop. That's power. That's winning life on your own terms.